Hello my friends, this is Aslam Khatri from The Growth Gap, and today we are back discussing how to upgrade our own thought process. You see, this is the asset that we have, that we can utilize to shape our life the way we want to. Now, we all know that an average person thinks over 6,200 times a day, different thoughts that come into a human being's mind. Now, then you go out and you listen to other researchers, and the researchers have found that it could be even up to 80,000 different thoughts that a human person can go through during a day. Now, for either 6,000 or 80,000, both numbers are very, very big, and it shows how our mind is always thinking. So, but the research also said that 80% of the thought or the thought process is always on the negative side. Now, that is not something that is conditioned. That is something that I believe that by reading things, by looking at the things, it is truly generational. No, we are not fighting lions right now, but somehow or the other, our mindset has always been set up to be on the negative side, because that is something that helps us create a scenario as to how we are going to fight that particular lion if it comes into the cave. But the point is that we are not in the cave anymore, and the point is that we are not training or taming lions, but however, what we're trying to do is we're trying to create businesses, we're trying to create a lifestyle, we're trying to create a relationship, a family, and friends. So we are developing things, we're developing technology, we're developing everything else. We are not in the same, we are not in the same situation as how our ancestors were. So how do we think? What is it in our mindset that still keeps on giving us that negative feeling? But today I want to go further from that negative feeling, and it's to say, okay, a lot of people will tell you that, oh, you have negative feelings, just forget about the negative feelings, just start thinking positive. Think about the good things. Think about the end result where you want to be. Now that truly is what most of our world works with. Most of our people talk about, if you talk to a friend, if you talk to somebody, they'll say, stop thinking about bad things, just to start thinking positive. But there's a problem there too. And that is where we're going to talk more about. Now, Carol Dweck, we talked about her before. She's the most wonderful psychologist who has done a lot of work on a human thought process. She talks about growth mindset, and she talks about the fixed mindset. To her, fixed mindset is something that just stays fixed because people, they think that their fate, that their life, that their thoughts are all carved in stone, and therefore it will never go, that they will not grow from where they are. They have already accepted what is called the Peter's principle in their life. But then there is the other side, which is the growth mindset, because growth mindset is always looking to see how can I improve further. Now, and she has talked about this in her book, The Mindset, and she has done so many interviews. So that shows that we do have a choice of having a fixed mindset or having a growth mindset. Now, having said that, again, coming back to the first point of when people keep on saying to you, well, you know what, change your mind, think about positive things, think about something good. But then again, there's research that's shown that that is not that great either, because what you're doing then is, if you're just thinking about all the positive things, then what you've done is now you just relax your mind. And at this point in your mind, while you have already gone to your final destination of the success, what you did not do is prepare yourself, because you just became lazy. And that is the new research that's coming out, that you just became lazy by just saying, oh, things are going to be fine. No, I think there's a step, and that's what the scientists, the psychologists are talking about. And that step is that don't only think about all that great things that are going to happen, that you don't only think about the success, but also do your work as to what obstacles are you going to have in there. So not only visualizing yourself going to the top, going to the best of the business that you have prepared, but what obstacles that are you going to think about. But do it in a way that is more positive than negative. In other words, exactly like in making a business plan, we always talk about a business and we talk about what are the advantages and what are the challenges. In other words, yes, the advantages are this is a great market. Yes, we can do a lot of things. Yes, we can go forward and we can conquer the market. But what are the challenges that we are going to go through it? So that becomes the question as to how now we talk about our thought process, not only that yes, we want to get to the end result of being a great successful person or having a great successful business, but don't make your mind lazy about it. Think about it from the point of view as to what challenges that you are going to see in front of you. What challenges are going to be? Now, can you just imagine that, how nice that would be? That not only you have decided or have discovered your final as to where you are going to be, as to where this is going to be such a wonderful project for you. But at the same time, if you were able to just go through as to what your hurdles are, what your challenges are going to be, and if you can go through in your mind those challenges, then if they do occur, you are ready, just like that particular business plan that you made, because nothing, regardless of how great our psychologist mind says to us that just think positive, nothing will always go positive as you think. So this was something that was very fascinating to me, because I really find that this is so true, that yes, we have that mindset that says either to be very negative and say, okay, but don't be negative. But then don't be too positive either, because somewhere you're going to have obstacles. And if you are living in that paradise where you think there's not going to be any obstacles, this is when it's going to be very difficult. So the question is, how do we upgrade our mind? What do we do differently than just a thought process? Just a thought process of saying, forget about the things, forget about the negative things, and forget about the positive things. There has to be an answer. And that is what I want to talk about. There's the 3 simple levels that I learned about that I would like to share with you, which I think are truly wonderful, because you see, again, you're going to have thoughts anyways, right? So if you can control your thoughts, and if you can analyze your thoughts, then you are going to be ahead. So let me give you the 3 levels that I learned about, and as to how those 3 levels can help you upgrade your own thought process. To actively upgrade our own thinking, our own mindset, the 3 levels are: 1, metacognition. Second one is cognitive restructuring. And the third one is the input curation. So let me try and explain them to you as I see them. So metacognition is, even though it sounds very clinical and very academic, it really is very simple. It is to sit back and think and observe as to what your thinking is all about. What are your patterns? Watch yourself. Learn to see yourself from outside. As to what are you thinking? What is your mind telling you? Ask yourself a question. What did I tell myself today that helped? And what I told myself today that didn't help? You see, now you're starting to be very mindful of your own thoughts as to what your thoughts are telling you. But if you can audit your own mind, if you can audit your own thoughts and say, okay, at the end of the day, today was a day where I had so many thoughts in my mind. Which one helped me and which ones are going to hold me back? You see, you cannot edit what you cannot see, what you cannot vouch, what you cannot audit. So only by knowing as to what went through your head today, where did it take you, what did it give you, good results and not such a good results. So that's something that you need to think about all the time. Metacognition. Simple as that. Just audit your thoughts. What were my thoughts today? What is helping me? What is not helping me? Second is the cognitive restructuring. Now that is challenging your own narrative. We're all victims of the same thing. We walk around saying, well, I'm not good at this I cannot do, this is something that's very difficult. I cannot be in business, I'm not good with money. I mean, on and on. Again, 80% of our thoughts, 80% of them are negative. So if they're negative, that means even if our thought is 6,000, that means 5,000 of them, or 4,800 of them to be exact, are negative. Now, if you can do the cognitive restructuring, which is challenge your narrative, question why? Why am I not good at this? Just because somebody passing by told me? Or is it something that it's just true, I just can't write? Or I cannot be good at business, or whatever your thought process is. So always in my mind, I'm saying to myself, is at the end of the day, when I ask myself this question, why did I say to myself so many times today that I am not capable of it? Ask yourself that question. Who gave you that? Who made you in charge? Who gave you that thought process by saying I'm not good? Because, I'm at school.com and I have a community and a day, 2-3 hours a day, I'm constantly working with other communities with a lot of members. And many times there are people who say, well, I like to do this, but I don't think I'm good at it. And I'm always challenging with one question: why? Just because somebody told you that you're walking around with that? Or is it something that you truly believe? In that particular case, you do yourself a help. I will never fly a plane. So yeah, I cannot fly a plane. There are reasons. The reasons are that I did not go to school for such technologies. I would not understand certain things, and therefore I wouldn't. Yes, so I put that aside. But there are a lot of other things that I can do. I've been successful in business. I've been successful in doing other stuff. So yeah, so there are things. But challenge yourself. Ask yourself the question, which becomes the most important. People. Don't fight, integrate. Integrate, ask yourself the question, become that detective. Ask yourself a question, why am I not good at it? And then if you can give yourself a true answer, by all means, you are not good enough at that, then you go on to something else. Ask yourself that question, but also ask yourself a question as a friend. You see, we're always kinder to a friend than we are to ourselves. We always get very upset at ourselves because we say, well, we're always very hard on ourselves. But ask yourself a question as a friend and find out why it is. And that is what cognitive restructuring is. And the third one is the input curation. What I mean by that is, what is that you put in your own head? In other words, whatever is the input that shapes our thoughts, that shapes our life. Now, so ask yourself a question as to where this information is coming. We live in a world, again, that's how we started. Everybody thinks negative. So if you're going to hang around with people who are constantly giving you negative information, if you're going to talk to the people who will always tell you business is bad, if you're going to listen to even, and most of the time it is, to the news, which is nothing but constantly telling you things are bad. Do not get out of your house because there's always something happening. But that's the information that you get on the news. This is what you call sensationalization. So ask yourself where your information is coming from. Are you keeping a company that is not so great, that you are people who are negative? Of course, if they are negative, then this is what you're going to think about. You're going to continue to be thinking negative. So it's a question of what is your input? Where are you getting your information from? It's the three simple steps. The names sound very scientific and everything, and they are, but they're three simple steps. Three very simple steps, which says how. It's observing your own thoughts. Is asking the questioning your thoughts as to where are they coming from. And that makes all the difference. So my friends, what I want to talk about is, what I want to tell you is, be mindful of what your thought process is. The more you will think only negative, which a lot of people do, the more you are not going to do anything. But at the same time, just to say to yourself that, oh, I don't have to think negative, I'm just going to go and think positive and everything is going to be fine, that is not correct either. Because now it's a story of me telling myself that tomorrow morning I'm able to fly a jumbo jet, which is not going to happen. So ask yourself questions. And that's the only way that you are going to upgrade your thoughts. Now, again, basic is mindfulness. But there are techniques. The techniques that I gave you, the techniques that I talked about, I believe that can help you so much. Because I am always thinking about one thing, no pun intended, thinking about how to think. Because whatever we think, however we think, that is how our results come in. Whatever we put in our mind, this is how we shape it. This is how our life is shaped. So if we can be in that middle ground, of doing an audit on our thoughts. See where they're coming from. Being a person of ourselves, having our own mind and thinking. And you will see that this will give you so many results. Now, again, this is not a hack and this is not a potion. This is not something that tomorrow morning you're going to change. I've always given, mostly of these things, I always give an example of marathon. And a marathon is a long term. It's a lifestyle. It's a life that you need to work on. It is not something that's going to happen. But I can assure you, if you worked on it, and if you just were mindful of saying to yourself, what are my thought processes? Where are they coming from? And if you audited them, and if you looked at your environment, and if you observed them, and if you ask yourself the right questions, in no time, you will start thinking totally differently. You will start thinking result-oriented because now you're analyzing it. Now you're looking at it. Now you're looking as to how to improve yourself. So I hope this helped. If you know of somebody who needs to hear this, please send it to them. Please subscribe to my channel and please come to my community at Growth Gap Destiny Builders, where we have this discussion, this type of a discussion on a daily basis. Till next time, this is Aslam Khatri from the Growth Gap. Goodbye and thank you.